Hi Year 6 and welcome to Tuesday's maths lesson. Before you join me on this virtual lesson, you need to watch the videos that are posted on the website about metric and imperial measures. If you have already watched them, then brilliant. If not, pop and watch them now. They're going to explain imperial and metric before we start today's lesson. So if you are ready, let's go on to talk about metric measures. So today, this is what we are going to focus on. Now, can you remember what the metric measure for length, for weight, and for volume is? Okay, so length, we've got centimetres, metres, millimetres. Weight, kilograms and grams. And volume, litres and millilitres. Okay, so what would you measure with length? Anything that you want to see how long it is. Obviously in centimetres it would be small, in millimetres it would be tiny, and in metres you can measure longer things. You can measure how tall you are in metres. Weight, kilograms, a bag of sugar in the shop, you can get a kilogram bag of sugar. And volume, anything that you can fill a cup with. Okay, so we're thinking liquid, a 2-litre bottle of lemonade, for example. Let's have a look at the conversions within these measures then. So if we focus on length first, this has the most different measures that we have to worry about. 1 metre equals 100 centimetres. Now, the parts in red on here are your prefixes of the words, and they can help us when converting. We've looked in school a lot at the prefix cent. We talked about century being 100 years, centimetres being 100 metres, 100 cent in a dollar, for example. We've also got some other prefixes that can help us. The prefix milli means 1,000, like millennium, and the prefix kilo also meaning 1,000. So, we've got 1 metre is 100 centimetres, 1 metre is 1,000 millimetres, and therefore 1 centimetre is 10 millimetres. Think about your ruler where you've got centimetres, you've got 10 little intervals between each centimetre, and they are millimetres, so they are tiny. And then if we go larger, 1,000 metres is 1 kilometre. Okay, for weight then, 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. And for volume, 1 litre is 1,000 millilitres. Now you need to know and remember these conversions because it's going to help you to answer the questions later on. It's going to help you to be able to convert between. We're going to look and say, for example, if I've got 5 kilograms of something, how many grams have I got? So you're going to need to remember that 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. So how do we convert between them then? Let's think about it. If I've got 3 metres and I want to know how many centimetres that is, what calculation am I going to do? You are going to need everything that you went through yesterday with Miss White on timesing and dividing by 10, 100 and 1,000 to convert between measures today, because we are either going to be timesing or dividing, and it's going to be 10, 100 and 1,000 when we're using these different measurements. So if I was going to do 3 metres to centimetres, I've popped these here to remind us, but you need to try and keep these in your head moving forward. If 1 metre is 100 centimetres, then what am I going to have to do to that 3 to find out how many centimetres? I'm going to have to times by 100, because 1 was 100, so 3 will be 300. Okay, similarly with our kilograms, let's look at our conversion. If 1 is 1,000, I've got 5, so I need to times 1,000. 5 times 1,000 is 5,000 grams. And then the same with my litres. If I've got 1.5 litres, I've got 1.5 litres. 1 litre is 1,000, so I'm going to have to multiply this by 1,000. 1,500 millilitres, 1.5 litres. Okay, let's test if we understand that with the next slide. Now, what I want you to do is copy this table onto your page and then have a go at putting the right things under the right columns. So, for example, we've just looked at going between centimetres and metres. If I know the number of centimetres or I know the number of metres, I'm going to times or divide by 100, because there's 100 centimetres in a metre. See if you can sort them into the right box. There's 10, 100 and 1,000. Then there's a box for timesing or dividing by other. For example, days to weeks. There's 7 days in a week, so I'd be timesing or dividing by 7. It's not going to be 10, 100 or 1,000. So pause the video here and have a go at completing that table. If you haven't got a clue what to do, then just stay on and I will show you the answers. Okay. So hopefully if you've completed the table, it looks something like this. So if we're going to go between meters and centimeters, we're going to times or divide by 10, depending on which way we're going, and we'll look at that in a minute. Centimeters to meters, it's 100. For kilograms to grams, litres to millilitres, millimetres to metres, it's 1,000. And then this other, they're all the time ones. So seconds to minutes, there's 60 seconds in a minute. Days to weeks, 7 days in a week. Hours to days, 24 hours in a day. Hours to minutes, 60 minutes in an hour. So we're not using 10, 100 and 1,000 for these. It will be different. Let's have a go at doing these together. So 7 kilograms to grams. I want my number to get bigger because 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. It's 1,000 times bigger. So I'm going to times 1,000. Okay, I'm going to times 1,000. If I'm going from grams to kilograms, I don't want my number to get bigger. Okay, 2,400 grams is going to be less than that in kilograms. Okay, so I am going to want to divide. So I'm going to divide by 1,000 there. Okay, similarly here, if you're starting with litres, you want to get bigger because there's lots of millilitres in a litre. So you're going to times. To go the other way, you're going to divide. It's going to be the same for centimetres and metres, but you're going to be using 100. So for centimetres to metres, I want my number to get smaller. I'm going to divide 100. If I want my number to get bigger, I'm going to times 100. Pause me here and have a go and see, and then I'll share the answers. Okay. Here are the answers. Hopefully you've got those right. If you're looking and you're thinking that you really don't understand this and it's really tricky, then have a look at our sheets when we move on, but then do come and drop in to the chat at 12:10 to come and get some help on this. It is a bit tricky and some people just easily understand it more than others. Okay, so your number of grams should always be smaller than your kilograms, and that's by 1,000 times. Millilitres should always be smaller than your litres by 1,000 times. And metres should always be smaller than centimetres by 100 times. Okay, you need your knowledge from yesterday's lesson to help you. Let's look at some of the kind of problems you might face in this lesson, and then you can go off and try. So here's some examples. So from the easiest kind of thing that you might have, this was got a whole lot of weight of kittens, and it asks what's the difference in mass between the heaviest and the lightest. So you're going to find the heaviest and the lightest, take it away so that you get the difference between. That's relatively simple. Moving up to something like this where you're going to order, again, it's relatively simple. You're just thinking about which numbers are the biggest. Look at each digit in turn. Here, a machine pours 250 millilitres of juice every 4 seconds. How many litres of juice does the machine pour every minute? So there, we're going to have to think about how many lots of 4 seconds there are in a minute. Okay, and then times our 250 by that amount. In this one, a bottle contains 568 millilitres of milk and Jack pours out half a litre. How much is left? You're going to do a takeaway and you need to know how much half a litre is. So if 1 litre is 1,000 millilitres, half a litre is 500. So that's what you take away. Have a go at the difficulty level that you feel comfortable with today. And remember, if it all feels a bit tricky, drop into your teams with your teacher at 12:10 to get some help. Thank you for joining the lesson. Good luck with your independent work today.